After sweeping the Astros back in April, the Royals were hoping for much of the same beginning last night. Not so fast. The Astros scored 9 runs on a season-high 16 hits to take Game 1. Jeremy Guthrie will take the ball for the Royals tonight on Fox Sports Kansas City. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. We are past Memorial Day, and outdoors it's starting to feel like summer. Game 2 tonight between the Royals and the Houston Astros. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Rex Hudler and Joel Goldberg will be with us shortly. Memorial Day and game number 50. Those are important mileposts in a baseball season in determining what direction a team is going to go. It's still early, does not apply anymore. Let's start and talk about pitching. And the Royals and their fans were concerned with the departure of Ervin Santana. Would the pitching drop off this year? Well, Jason Vargas and Yordano Ventura have more than absorbed the loss of Santana, and the Royals' starting ERA is better now than it was a year ago. On the topic of Yordano Ventura, he left the game in the 3rd inning last night with a sore right elbow. And as Ned Yost tells us today and predicted last night, the Royals' concern about Ventura's elbow is minimal.
He said he was feeling something in his elbow. We got him out of the game. The doctors were upstairs waiting for him to get there. They did their initial exam. All the findings that they had, the soreness or the little irritation was on the outside of the elbow. You really worry when it's on the inside of the elbow. That's where your UCL, where they've got to do the Tommy John surgery. So as soon as, the doctors realized that it was on the outside of the elbow, he didn't feel anything when he threw his curveball or changeup, only on extension of his fastball. They had a pretty good idea what it does.
So Ventura's elbow is okay in the big picture. So is the Royals pitching. What about the offense? Joel Goldberg will address that when we come back.
50 games in so far, and offensive struggles for the Royals. The run differential the same as last year. The batting average a little worse. The runs per game about the same. Fewer home runs, although the record overall 24 and 26 compared to 21 and 29. Joel Goldberg back here at Kauffman Stadium, where Royals fans have not seen a lot of home runs. The opposing teams haven't hit very many here, and the Royals have hit even fewer. They have been in a home run drought so far, but really the offense has been very similar to this point to last year.
It's exactly the same. We pitched really well last year. We played good defense. We struggled offensively in the first 2 months, and it's kind of a mirror image of exactly what we did last year. But, you know, there's no doubt and a lot of faith that these guys are going to get it going. We feel that there's enough power in this lineup to hit home runs and be productive offensively. We just haven't done it yet.
Well, they actually have scored some runs of late, but not hitting for any extra bases. Jeremy Guthrie seems to usually pitch well at Kauffman Stadium, and the first pitch is coming up next.
Truck Month. Visit your Kansas City Chevy dealers. Buy the Missouri Lottery. Try the Missouri Lottery's new Lucky Sevens playbook. And by AT&T, mobilizing your world. Should be a good night to hit. It is warm, it is humid, and the wind is blowing out to left field. And it was certainly a good night to hit last night for the Houston Astros. They came into the game with the worst team batting average in the league, the fewest runs scored in the league, and they came up with 9 runs on a season high 16 hits.
Yep, you just never know. Any team can beat any other team any given night in baseball. Now that's what happened last night. Baseball, one of the many beautiful things about it is it's played every night. So Guthrie has a chance to shut their offense down like he's totally capable. Now he has a personal 8 games where he hasn't won yet, so he's overdue to get a W for his team. You see his record, no wins in the last 7 starts. He's hoping that this 8th start here without a win is the one.
We showed you some pitching numbers, and if you're following the Royals closely, I don't think it's a surprise that the pitching has been strong this year. Offense is the big question mark. The Royals are way down at the bottom in home runs. Okay, so they're not a home run hitting team, but that doesn't mean they can't score runs, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you have the fastest team in the American League. At least stolen bases say that. Like to see a few more hit and runs and move those runners around the bases, generate some more offense that way. But certainly there's plenty of ways when you have speed. Now, if you didn't have speed, you would rely more on the home runs. But Guthrie, hopefully he can get the run support that he's been getting most of the season. Round the horn with our Midwest Ford dealers. Since May 13th, only 4 errors. They've been really good. We all know that. But pitching and defense, as Ned said in our open, has always been the staple going back to last year, and it is now. Offensive numbers are similar to last year through the first 50 games, but that's going to pick up. It's going to change just like it did last year. So, you know, as far as the home run balls go, find the holes tonight and score him some runs and get him some support.
All right, Hud, we got Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief, at third, Kerwin Danley behind the plate, Lance Barksdale at first, and the second base umpire is
Mark Rippiger.
Wait a minute.
No, Rippiger, my bad.
Okay, there we go. I set you up perfectly.
You did. I whiffed already. It's Rippiger, not Rippiger. I went and talked to him.
You were right last night. I was wrong.
And I'm sorry I just blew that for you right there, but it is Rippiger.
No,
I mean, it's Rippiger. That's a hard G.
And a hard G to say, apparently. So there he is, Mark Rippiger. That's what we're going with from now on. Now, you found out that his parents were watching last night.
I did. They're from San Diego, Mark and Leanne. And I don't get this chance to go down there and talk to the umpires like I used to all the time. But tonight I went down because the Royals had those special camo hats, and so did the umpires. And Kerwin Danley's one of my buddies, as Altuve just dumps one in there. And so anyway, got a little conversation with him and talked with Mark Rippiger. And he said, my folks were listening to you guys butcher my name, and tonight we'll try to get it right. And the first time I said it, I butchered it. Sorry, Mark.
So anyway, here's George Springer. After Jose Altuve gets his 72nd hit of the year, that leads the league. And boy, did we see last night why the Astros are so excited about George Springer. Made one of the best defensive plays in right field and was on base 5 times and scored 5 runs. Two and 0. Last time the Astros faced Jeremy Guthrie was back on April the 16th, and that was Springer's major league debut. And he got his first big league hit against Jeremy Guthrie with a little dribbler up the third base line for an infield single. Two and 1.
First time we ever saw him, he had a long swing. Last night, he made some adjustments. His swing was short and compact. And man, you hit one in the fountains here, you've done something. It's okay for a victory dance in your dugout after that bomb.
May have cracked his bat as he hits it into the seats off the left field line.
Good. Get rid of that bat. That might be the hot one.
Here's our Toyota League leaders for tonight. RBIs by a rookie, and we all know Jose Abreu has just been tearing up the lead, rookie or otherwise. But right behind him, Springer, who did very little in his first 19 games as a big leaguer, now is one of the hottest things going in the game in his last 16 games.
Okay, keep in mind he's played in 9 fewer games than Abreu, so he's got stats a little bit ahead of.
Altuve runs, and it's hit to Kane in center field, and right there you can see that the ball is carrying as Lorenzo goes to the edge of the warning track.
Looked like a pop-up, but it is pushing out towards left center field.
You can see Lorenzo after that catch looking up at the flags to see why that ball took him all the way to the track. So Springer was on 5 times last night. So was Dexter Fowler. He was the center fielder. Tonight he is the DH. Fowler had 2 hits and he had 3 walks. One of the better hitter's eyes in the league. He is 4th with 32 walks. He will never use that bat again as Escobar runs out into left field to make the play. 2 down.
Ball doesn't look like it's carrying to the shortstop.
No.
He's right up on top of the plate. Guthrie got in on him.
Astros last night scored 2 runs in the first inning. Jason Castro stepping in now, drove in one of the 2 runs. They then added 3 in the second and scored in 6 of their 9 innings, winning 9-2. It's been a good matchup for Castro with 4 hits, 2 home runs, a couple of Stanford grads hooking up here. They were 6 years apart. Guthrie drafted in the first round in 2002 by the Indians, and Castro taken in the first round in 2008 by the Astros.
Got to keep an eye on Altuve. He got 17 bags.
2-0. That is just foul off to the third base side. 2-1. Guthrie's task tonight not much different from Wednesday. He took a no decision and pitched well against Chicago. The White Sox had scored 14 runs on 23 hits in the first 2 games of the series, and Guthrie slowed them down, giving up just 1 run, 3 hits. And now the Astros offense firing on all cylinders, coming off a big game last night, and Guthrie trying to slow them down.
He can do it. He's got the pitches. Keep that ball down, a little 2-seamer. And you know, we've seen a lot of errors on pickoff plays, not just by Guthrie but all the pitching staff this year, and Dave Island was hoping that he could limit those pickoff attempts at least to, you know, when they're really meaningful and we need a pickoff, and let Salvi take care of the running game. He's so good at catch and throwing.
3-2.
I think Castro is going to be a big player in this American League for a long time. Last year there was some questions about his defense, but he's continued to improve behind the plate. They love the way he's blocking balls this year. He's got some energy coming out from behind the plate. He's throwing out 22% of the runners. He's making improvements. That's what you want from young players.
Altuve runs and Castro strikes out, so a scoreless first inning tonight as Guthrie gets his first strikeout, striking out the league's leading strikeout hitter, Jason Castro. Games ago, Nori Aoki was out. He had a bruised elbow. Omar Infante was rehabbing in AAA. They both returned to the lineup last night, but good Astros pitching held the Royals to just 2 runs, even though they came up with 10 hits.
So you got to have Aoki. Infante, like to see him get himself going. Talking with Hosmer before the game, he told me there are nobody stressing in here in this clubhouse. We're going to hit. We're confident. We know we will. And you know, last year when I wasn't hitting any home runs this time of year, he said I didn't worry about it then, and I'm not going to worry about it now. It'll just start happening. And I said, way to go. Good luck to you.
Colin McHugh making his first appearance against the Royals. An angry looking sky, and there are some pop-up thunderstorms in the area. None have crossed Kauffman Stadium since before batting practice.
Right man, right spot. He's hitting .321 leading off an inning. Make it happen.
Swings at the first pitch. The Astros were shallow, but Grossman is able to get back and make the play.
Fortunately. Oh, that's a good stroke. Colin McHugh. He's going to be defending, or they're going to defend behind McHugh. Alex Presley. He's only getting his 4th start at center field, because we mentioned Dexter Fowler was doing the DHing tonight. It's pretty good defense altogether. Altuve is their leader, the second baseman in the infield.
Strike 2, Omar Infante. He was 1 for 4 last night after missing 17 games on the disabled list. He doubled in his first at bat. Aoki, by the way, is the only Royal who has faced McHugh before tonight. 0-2 on Infante.
What the Royals are going to be seeing is an 88 to 92 mile-an-hour fastball. He's going to cut his fastball. He used to be a 2-seam sinker baller, but pitching coach Brent Strom got him away from that. Wants more 4-seamers. We might see some 93 mile-an-hour tonight, maybe an occasional 94, but you will see the breaker there. That's the curveball and a slider. He's got occasional changeups, and it's a young man who trusts his stuff, and so he's going to throw everything at any time. He's got the kitchen sink. So there's the curveball earlier that surprised him. What's been impressive is the opponent's batting average is 196. He's not giving up a lot of hits, so they're going to have to work for their knocks tonight.
Eric Hosmer with 2 outs, nobody on. And he's after the first pitch. The Royals have come out swinging tonight against Colin McHugh.
He throws that curveball a lot. That could be trouble. The Royals are going to have to spit on that. That means take it, because the opponents are only 1 for 29 so far on his curves. And we saw that, the break on that to Infante there, that last one. That was a beauty. Oz missed that. That's the one he wanted.
And McHugh doesn't seem to be bothered by the Royals' aggressive approach. He has thrown 6 straight strikes to begin the bottom of the first inning. Seven-pitch inning, all strikes and 2 strikeouts. Second inning, and here's our Sprint Framley question of the day. Which Royals player's Twitter account is your favorite to follow? And remember, with the Sprint Framley plan, everyone gets unlimited talk, text, and 1 gig of data for as low as $25 per month per line while on the Sprint network.
Pretty interesting, all those handles. I think the real J Guts gets a lot of play. I like them all.
Guthrie gave up a leadoff single to Altuve and then retired the next 3. Matt Dominguez, Astros third baseman, followed by Mark Krause and Robbie Grossman.
The story this winter that came out when Guthrie said, "Hey, I'm going to go out and play catch. Does anybody want to play catch with me?" on his Twitter handle. Father of 2 or 3 says, I think he had 3 kids, says, "Yeah, I'd like to." Got a glove, went out, met Guthrie. They played catch. Guthrie and the dad ended up comparing stories about raising kids, and ended up being a very warm memory for the gentleman. And I read that. Hello, sisters. I read that, and I got emotional. I said, that's that player, Jeremy Guthrie. He gets it. He's sharing with the people. My wife looked at me on the counter as I'm sobbing, and she goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "Mom, honey, this is beautiful here with what our guy did." So he understands it. He gets it. I think that's really fresh. He includes the community in whatever he does. He's a community guy. Did I get that story right?
No, you got it right. But I'm just thinking in my mind whether I want to ask you to go have a catch if you're going to be sobbing the whole time.
No, it was one of those below zero weeks, I think. But I was just touched. I was touched because what players can do, they have so many opportunities to give back to people, and to be able for him to be able to share like that and just open it up, and then to read the story how the father got some fathering tips from Jeremy and they shared with each other. That's what it's all about.
Did they walk off into the cornfield when they were done?
That's a good question. We'll have to ask Jeremy about it.
2-1 on Mark Krause. And Guthrie was able to do that because after signing the 3-year contract with the Royals, he moved his family here. Something that's very rare in the game today. Off speed and a strike. 2-2 on Krause. Guthrie, born and raised in Oregon, Roseburg, Oregon. Started his college career at BYU and finished up at Stanford. Up the middle, and the Royals were playing Krause perfectly, and Escobar throws him out with a dig from Hosmer. 2 down.
Okay, that shift worked. If they're in their regular positions, that's a base hit.
Got up into the upper 80s in Kansas City today, and with some moisture in the air, some thunderstorms, high humidity. The wind has already died down since the first pitch of the game, and the chance for thunderstorms will decrease significantly when the sun goes down. So we're getting into that part of the season where Kauffman Stadium will be a lot more hitter friendly than it is pitcher friendly. 83 right now. Ooh, that's how a pitcher gets hurt.
You're right. Kerwin Danley behind the plate needs to be a little more vocal when he calls time. Make sure the pitcher hears that.
Robbie Grossman had just been called up for the minor leagues before last night's game and went 0 for 5 with a couple of strikeouts. So he's just 6 for 53 at the big league level. He did seem to put the pieces back together during his stint in AAA. That's a little bit outside. 2 balls and 1 strike.
It's interesting how Grossman holds his hands and carries them way up over his helmet like that. Because to be able to get your bat head back into the hitting position sometimes can take a lot, but these guys have their own style.
Two and two with 2 outs. Center field, easy for Kane. And after the game opening single, Guthrie has retired the next 6 Astros. Lighting in a beautiful night at Kauffman Stadium. At least it appears that way, as they did so many times. Well, fans, it's time now for you to tweet your photo using hashtag KCFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast, as in tonight. Brought to you by AT&T. Billy Butler, Alex Gordon, Salvador Perez in the second inning. Our producer Joe Lavero brought up an excellent point when we were talking about the 7-pitch first inning. You think, well, that's good, but what's so notable about it? How about 7 pitches and 2 strikeouts? How rare is that? Dave Holtzman thinks that that's a major league record.
Could be.
Fewest pitches and have 2 strikeouts in 1 inning. Well, that's because Nori Aoki swung at the first pitch, and then McHugh struck out Infante on 3 pitches and Hosmer on 3 pitches. Billy takes a big rip, and the count is 2-2.
Okay, he's doing exactly like they said he would. Mixes them up, pitches, and throws any pitch anytime. A lot of curves early on.
Well, he struck out 3 in a row. 1 down in the second inning.
That is a hammer. Nice looking pitch. And so far, he hasn't missed with them. That's ideally where you want to start it. Right below the letters, ends up on the ankles when you have that type of depth to it. The hanging curveball starts at the neck, so hitters can pick that up and it ends up around the belt or knees.
In for a strike to Alex, who had a 2-hit game last night. A run scored, and he's hit in 4 straight.
That was his cutter. You can tell it's got just a small break to it.
You know, we were looking at some numbers for McHugh before the bottom of the first inning, and there was one start that really stands out. And he's doing the same thing tonight, and it's very early. But the middle point there, HUD, April 22nd, 12 strikeouts for his first major league win. He threw 89 pitches. Think about that.
Whew.
It was just the 5th time in major league history that a pitcher had that many strikeouts and fewer than 90 pitches. So it gets back to that first inning. 7 pitches, 2 strikeouts. So the rare pitcher who can pile up the strikeouts but not his pitch count at the same time.
Brent Strom, his pitching coach, first-year pitching coach for the Houston Astros, deserves some credit for being able to recognize this kid's potential and saying, you know, the 2-seam ground ball, you're gonna give up a lot of more hits that way. Then why don't you just stay with a 4-seamer, stay upstairs with it, and you're gonna get some more strikeouts. That's what's been happening. He's sneaky. He's not overpowering.
Very shallow left field, and it will drop in front of Grossman. Alex has hit in 5 straight, and he's on with 1 out in the second inning. Salvador Perez to the plate with 1 on, 1 out. And as a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Okay, with his curveball as good as it is, you want to get him early in the count. Maybe we see Ned move him. Move the runner. Let Gordon go. Salvi, see if he can pick out a hole right away. Like Grafal told me he'd like to see Salvi use a little bit more right field. He's been a little pull conscious, and if he decides to do that tonight, he's got a nice lane to shoot. There's no one in that second base hole. He could dribble. He could hit a little 3-hop dribble or whatever he wants to do in there. Move those runners. Apply pressure.
Two and 0. And the Astros will shift, no doubt about that. Here's the Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard, and it's not even close. When you talk about the difference between the team that shifts the most and the second most, the Astros are all by themselves. So they will take some risks on defense based on past performances. Sal pulls that one. Alex holds at second. And 2 on, 1 out in the second inning.
Stay on top of that.
But that's a pitch you can pull, right? I mean, he's thinking if he's right, if Sal is being Sal, he's thinking fastball middle away, but it's the hanging breaking ball that you end up pulling.
Especially early in the count. Yeah, that ball, even though it was on the outer half, he was able to reach out and pull it.
Lorenzo Cain last night tied a career high with 4 hits. Second time he's had 4 hits this year. And he drove in both Royals runs. So McHugh starts him off with a curveball, 0-1.
It's been really good with runners in scoring position this year. 351. It's been hot.
So not just last night, but it's been the last few games for Lorenzo Cain. 7 for his last 13. And even slower with the breaking ball, and it's 0-2.
But he recognized that. Lorenzo's been around long enough now to recognize a hanging breaking ball. Talked about last night his inexperience, just starting right after his sophomore year. Or was it a sophomore year he started?
That's when he started playing, yeah. But not really a regular player until his senior year of high school.
It's crazy.
One and two. As Lorenzo was doing everything humanly possible to try and get out of the way of that pitch.
Looked like he tried to wear it to me. And there's nothing wrong with a curveball like that. Wear it, 1 out, load him up for Escobar. But his strikeout pitch early has been his curveball. All the curves have been thrown to right-handed batters.
Gonzalez, Altuve grabbed it with his bare hand, and the throw was high, so that saves an inning-ending double play and puts runners at first and third with 2 down.
Altuve trying to cut it down. That's pretty good focus, and you have to be really confident to do that anytime, because you could drop that and you wouldn't get any outs. But like I said earlier, he's their leader. This guy, he's a player. He's one of their senior statesmen. He might be small in stature physically, but he plays like he's 6'6". Very confident player.
Escobar 1 for 2 with a walk last night. Now batting at .271.
Likes to bunt that ball sometimes to bring those runners in, or one runner.
Kane runs, and Escobar fouls it away.
Nice shot to go to right. He got a good pitch he can handle. Escobar, 205 hitter with a runner in scoring position. Lorenzo's 6 for 6 in bags.
And the Royals have cranked up their running game lately. Kane had a stolen base last night. The Royals have now stolen 14 in their last 9 games, 22 in their last 20 to take over the American League lead. Well, there's the bunt you're talking about, but he takes it outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Ideal pitch is an off-speed pitch when you're going to do that with 2 outs. But Escobar, he's got a good level swing. He's confident he can drive in the run.
1 and 2. And this is where the Royals see the biggest improvement in Escobar's game at the plate this year compared to last year. What he has done with 2 strikes, and specifically the pitches he is not swinging at with 2 strikes compared to last year. It's not going to be a real big walk guy. That's just not his style of play, and where he hits in the lineup, he's going to get a lot of hittable pitches. But with that being said, he is quite a ways ahead of his walk pace from last year, a result of being more selective at the plate. Like that pitch. 2 and 2.
If you're going to steal, breaking ball's the pitch to go on. Rusty Kuntz has his watch over there. He knows that anything over 1-3 you can steal a base. And the pitcher's time by the time he breaks his hands and gets the ball across the plate. He's got his watch in his hand. On that curveball, I got him at 1.43. So if Kane would have went on that, he'd have gotten it easily.
McHugh has struggled this year. His opponent's batting average overall is 196, but you put runners in scoring position and it's over 360, which is common for a young pitcher. Kane runs and Escobar swings and misses. 73 miles an hour on that pitch from Colin McHugh. He has 4 strikeouts in 2 scoreless innings. On Father-Daughter Day, that's Sunday, June 8th, the Royals will host the New York Yankees, and as part of this special ticket package, you'll receive a limited edition Royals hat and a commemorative framed photo. So don't miss your chance to spend the day at Kauffman Stadium, father and daughter, on June the 8th. Alex Presley leads off, and Guthrie almost nicked him on the jersey.
Looks to me like Guthrie's 4-seam fastball has a little bit of life on it tonight. We know that his hip turn is a little more pronounced, as Dave Island 3 starts ago told him to incorporate a little bit more of that turn so you could get more movement on the pitches. And it's been working for him. He just hasn't been lucky enough to be on the winning side of the decision.
Shallow center field, slicing away from Kane, so he'll have to play it on a bounce. Alex Presley had a 3-hit game last night, and he's 1 for 1 tonight.
And now 2 for 3 now. Okay, let's check out Guthrie's turn. See how he really turns the lower half of his hips. It lines his arm up. It kicks his arm in a nice slot. But Presley recognized that hanger, and he just put a level swing on it and got a base hit. Hitters can recognize a pitch in their eyes. It's a little easier to put into play.
Presley has 1 stolen base and very good speed. He's running, and Gonzalez fouls it away. Astros will run. They are 3rd in the league in stolen bases. They did not have a stolen base. They didn't need a stolen base last night, winning 9-2, and Marwin Gonzalez played a big role. He had 4 hits, a career high 4 hits. Presley has 21 career major league stolen bases. To Escobar. Infante off balance throw, and it's still in time for a double play. Running away from his target, and he still threw a strike to Hosmer.
That's beautiful. Sometimes you're late getting there as a second baseman, but then you just take over, let your natural skills go to work, and that's what he did. Threw off his right leg, got it there with a quick release. Look at Rusty Kuntz in the background.
Look like you, Joel.
Yeah, just like me, so graceful. Let's talk a little bit about Jose Altuve. And Bo Porter, the manager, was telling me you should be uncomfortable being comfortable. And in Jose Altuve's case, over the last 2 seasons, only 2 second basemen in baseball have more hits, Robinson Cano and Dustin Pedroia. But he went back home to Venezuela in the offseason, and HUD touched on this a little bit yesterday. Did not play winter ball, lost 10 pounds, changed his diet, changed his workout, became even more of a leader to this team because he wanted to be even better. And Porter says a joy to watch, and if you look up the definition of a baseball player, you will see Jose Altuve's name and picture in there. And now, since 2012 through this year, only Robinson Cano has more hits for a second baseman. Kind of maybe, Ryan, reminds us of a middle infielder we saw here who was only 5'5", Freddie Patek. 5'6" for Jose Altuve.
And as the story goes, in 2006 there was an open tryout, and Altuve showed up and was told right away that he just wasn't big enough to play professional baseball. So he went home. He was mad. That chip on his shoulder got a little bigger, and he went back the next day and stared the scouts in the eyes and said, "You made a mistake." Asked for another chance, and he got it. And as Joel said, one of the elite second basemen in the American League. This time Guthrie strikes him out. Guthrie has 3 scoreless innings to go with 3 strikeouts. Nurse for 13 years, Kathy provides nurse support and therapy education to people living with multiple sclerosis. Passionate about caring for her patients, she is recognized among her peers for her experience and commitment to people living with MS. Kathy also represents Teva at the local MS Walk and has served on many local committees. Sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at tonight's game.
Gotta have you, Kathy. Thank you.
Jimmy Paredes gets to start at third base for the second time in 3 days. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Siriaco got the opportunity last night, and when you're kind of filling in for a guy and you get a couple of opportunities to knock in some runs and you don't, sometimes the manager sees your name when he comes to putting names in the lineup and he just doesn't write you in. That's why it's important when you get a short amount of time that you do something, get one bloop hit, do something that you can stay in that lineup. Impress the manager. Paredes is a gap-to-gap type hitter. He has some occasional pop, but watching him in batting practice the last few days, he hits line drives from gap to gap. Good-looking athlete, can play a lot of different positions. He likes second base the best. That's what he has most fun at. But he'll fill in any of the other ones. That's a typical utility player's response. Ooh.
5 strikeouts for Colin McHugh in 2 1/3 innings. And 4 of the 5 on his curveball. Well, we've got a weekend series coming up against the Yankees starting June 9th through June 6th through the 9th. Derek Jeter playing his last series in Kansas City before retiring. The series includes summer fireworks on the 6th, presented by Hy-Vee and Pepsi, and a Nori Aoki poster giveaway on the 8th. That's to the first 10,000 fans, and presented by Magnaflex and Pitcraft Printing. Tickets still available at Royals.com or 1-800-6-ROYALS. Up the middle, Altuve is there, and a low throw gets him. Aoki is 0 for 2. Colin McHugh was first drafted by the Mets. He was taken in the 18th round out of Berry College in Georgia. Got to the big leagues in 2012 and was with the Mets that year and part of 2013, then finished 2013 with the Rockies. This is his first year with the Astros. 26 years old, Colin McHugh.
Now that's what I call a sneaky fastball. At 92, he put it in a really good spot, and it looked like it was blown by him at 95, 96. So you talk about him always dreaming about pitching at Turner Field in Atlanta. Of course, you know, his favorites were Glavine, Smoltz, and Maddox. How many kids that grew up in that area, those are their favorite pitchers? 90% of them.
Every single one of them.
100. I'll go 100 with you.
3-1 on Infante.
You know what was fun too, and not always fun. I got to face those 3 guys, and when they're in their element and they got all their pitches, you're not hitting it. So it wasn't really fun, but it was just nice to say you faced them.
Full count.
That's a Maddox spot right there. He made a great living in that spot. Just off the plate.
Up the middle and into center field. Infante is 1 for 2.
Again, short to the ball with a good short quick swing. Very little movement. Doesn't miss many fastballs out over the plate. Rod Allen, Detroit Tigers color commentator, told me in the offseason when the Royals acquired Infante. He said he won't miss many fastballs. Hit it right over, and he was right. Makes all the plays on defense for you. And I said, I think they're thinking about hitting him second. And he thought, well, he was more of a bottom of the order type of hitter. But in the Detroit lineup, maybe he was. So far, Infante has fit a very nice void defensively and in the number 2 hole.
He has hit safely in the first 2 games since coming back from the DL. He was out 17 games with tightness in his lower back. Hosmer lays off the breaking ball, 2-1. McHugh, I mentioned the 5 strikeouts, 4 on the curve. 1 strikeout on a fastball was against Hosmer in the first inning. Hit well to right field. Springer back to the track and brings it down. Didn't sound like he got all of it, but you never know on a night like tonight. Hosmer flies to deep right. Royals are scoreless in the 3rd. Forget to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com/Royals, and you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House.
Look at John Pope. That's our cameraman trying to stay up with Guthrie. You can't do that, John. You're going to have to train for 6 months in the off season to stay up with Jay Guts. He just left you in the dirt. Poper, yeah, that's okay.
Out of sight.
You did a good job, buddy.
Oh, 1 against George Springer. Guthrie, when he comes out of the dugout in between innings, he means business. He is the first one on the field by a long shot. Springer flied to deep center field in the first inning, and now he drives it into deep right, and Aoki at the track makes the play.
So far, so good. Guthrie's keeping him in the yard and hitless. Liked how Aoki went after this. He ran to the wall, then looked up for the ball, and it came down right in front of him. See how he's looking? He knows exactly where he is. You know, I wouldn't be able to stay with Jeremy Guthrie very long either. I think John Pope stayed with him at least for, what, 20 yards?
You think so?
It's hard to tell the distance here. Maybe 15. Maybe 10, but you know what, though? He had him right with him when he took off. And that's when he heads out to do his warm-ups.
And we understand this has been going on all season long. John trying to keep up with Jeremy Guthrie. 3-0 on Dexter Fowler.
But you know, before this year, John wasn't on that camera. He told me, as he backed him off the plate, that he's lost 10 pounds having to run out there and stay with some of these players. But he's getting there. His condition, he might be able to stay up with Jeremy next year. And let's not forget that camera that he's carrying is 30 pounds. So he's at a slight disadvantage. Better believe it.
That is the 33rd walk of the year for Dexter Fowler and his 4th of this series, and a rare walk given up by Guthrie.
How about 23rd walk this month for him? Fowler all of a sudden is eyeballing.
And now Castro, and Guthrie struck him out in the first inning. Jason Castro has struck out 59 times this year. That leads the league. Staying inside, he was really trying to jam Fowler before Fowler walked.
He's not afraid to hit a batter. I mean, that's not his intention, but he's got 5 hit by pitches this year. Guthrie does.
Sal recovers quickly as the pitch was down by his feet. 2-0.
That wasn't an easy block. He's distracted by Castro swinging.
That hit the umpire. That hit Kerwin Danley.
Yeah, it did. You see Danley dance out of the way of that? He lost 30 pounds in the offseason. I didn't recognize Kerwin in this series.
So he lost the weight of the camera.
He did. But Kerwin Danley, he's been around a long time. I'll check his book, check his numbers and see, but this is his 18th year as a major league umpire.
Showed you in the first inning, Castro has done well against Guthrie with a couple of home runs. And last year, Castro hit 18 home runs. 2-2. That was a team record for a catcher. And you think that's not a big number, especially at Minute Maid Park. But all those years at the Astrodome, even though it was an indoor ballpark, it was a pitcher's ballpark. The rare combination dome stadium that favored the pitcher. 3-2. Guthrie, one of the best in the league in limiting walks, and he only had 7 in his previous 7 starts. That was over 37 innings. He has walked Fowler in this inning with 1 out, and now 3-2 on Castro. We'll keep an eye on Fowler and see if he takes off on this 3-2 pitch. He does not, and Castro hits a bloop up the left field line, and that will drop foul by a foot.
Jason Castro went to Castro Valley High School in California.
What are the chances?
Yeah, how about that? There it is. He's in his 4th season. Talk about the improvements he's been making. He's going to be around for a while.
Fowler did not have a big lead. He has stolen 6, but the league has thrown him out 3 times. Not running and close, but ball 4. Back-to-back walks.
Could have been called either way.
So 2 on 1 out, and now Dominguez. Guthrie struck him out in the 2nd inning. Dominguez has power. He has 7 home runs this year, including a home run against Guthrie. At a play, 0-2. Astros have an interesting mix of first-round picks in their lineup, and not necessarily from their organization. George Springer was a first-round pick by the Astros. So is Jason Castro, but Bo Porter also has a young collection of players from other organizations thanks to trades. Matt Dominguez, first-round pick of the Marlins. Into center field. That'll get in the game's first run. And now the ball gets by Kane. So Fowler scores. And Castro goes to third, and Dominguez ends up at second base. So a single and an RBI getting Fowler to the plate. Castro to third, Dominguez to second on the air by Kane.
His first of the year. Fowler's going to score easily. Lorenzo wanted to get back and pick that ball up and try to get it in there and get the out, or at least hold Dominguez and keep him in double play order, but Dominguez was running the whole way.
And now the Royals bring the infield in halfway as Guthrie goes back to the windup on Mark Krause, a first-round pick of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Krause grounded out to Escobar in the 2nd inning. Oh, and 2. That was the count Guthrie had on Dominguez before he singled to center, driving in the run.
.214 hitter with runners in scoring position.
Good changeup down and away. 4th strikeout for Guthrie, and a big one there with a runner at third and less than 2 outs.
Excellent movement on that. 2 strikes. Hitter's a little defensive. Ball starts out over the middle of the plate and tails away. To the hitter, it looks like it's going to stay straight. Hard to pick up that rotation of the changeup.
Robbie Grossman, runners at second and third, 2 down as Sal saves a curveball in the dirt. Ball 1. Grossman flied to center in the 2nd inning. Now just 6'4", 54 at the big league level. Line to left, and Alex is there. That ends the inning. So 2 walks and an error, and the Astros get the game's first run. Royals down 1-0. Billy Butler, Alex Gordon, Salvador Perez. coming up in the bottom of the fourth. .com. Here's Morgan Kramer. We see you, Morgan. We see you. We do require our cameramen at some point during the game to do some jumping jacks. And for Morgan, it was the bottom of the fourth.
This is a lively camera crew.
Both teams with 3 hits. The Astros with a 1-0 lead, turning a walk into a run. Cutter in for a strike to Billy. He struck out swinging at a curve in the second inning, and McHugh has struck out 5 in the first 3 innings. And he likes that slow curveball tonight. We've seen that pitch anywhere from 72 to 73 miles an hour.
He sure looks like a polished pitcher. You wonder why the Rockies didn't keep him.
One and two.
Four-seam fastball. He's gotten a few strikeouts on that pitch tonight. Curveball's been his wipeout pitch, though.
And coming from the Rockies organization, it's easy to say, well, okay, fine, but what did the Rockies get in that deal? Well, there was no deal. Colin McHugh was placed on waivers by the Rockies. The Astros claimed him off of waivers back in December.
That's why teams scour that waiver wire. They're looking for, ooh, man.
Billy thought it was inside. He argues with Kerwin Danley. And McHugh has struck out 6, and by my count 5 with the curveball.
That's it. That one stayed up. See how it wasn't exactly a hanger, but it started up around neck high. But that was an elevated curve. A hanger is the one that hangs right over the middle of the plate.
And that's important in talking about hitting breaking balls. I heard it said once that good breaking ball hitters do not hit good breaking balls. You have to think about that for a moment. Dominguez in foul ground. He got tangled up with the dugout suite. He had his eyes on the ball And we see that from time to time from a visiting player, not looking at that little point at the end of the dugout suite. So that was a playable ball, but he took the wrong angle.
Got to make sure to look down. He looks down, but he wasn't sure where he was. So Gordon loves that. He'll get another shot.
So to finish the thought, guys who are good breaking ball hitters, they're not hitting the pitcher's best breaking ball.
I would agree with that.
They're hitting the mistakes.
You're right. Hangers, that's why their eyes light up when they see that ball start up so high, and they can pick up the rotation, and it's easier to put in play. One's down low, you're going to miss most of the time.
You don't practice in batting practice hitting a great slider.
No.
Or a great curve, right?
No. The batting practice pitchers in the majors are the coaches, and they're 60 feet away. Not 60, excuse me, about 45, maybe 50. They move the screen way up.
Kraus cuts in front of Altuve and over to McHugh for the second out. The Royals and Fox Sports Kansas City are offering a unique way for fans across the Midwest to enjoy a game at Kauffman Stadium with the V-Royal Fan Express. Fans in select cities will have the opportunity to win a seat on the bus, a ticket to the game, a Royals jersey, a hat, and much more. And the first stop is in Topeka on June 7th. It's Fox Sports Kansas City, Cox Cable, and WIBW, longtime Royals radio affiliate, are bringing the best fans from the state capital to Kauffman Stadium to watch the Yankees. So the question then becomes, if they're coming by way of the bus, who's driving the bus?
They will have a licensed professional driver drive them from their city to the K. However, once they get to the K, you never know who will be driving the bus. There has been some rumors floating around that they're going to actually train me how to drive a bus inside the K, but now I don't know. That's going to come up here in the next week or so. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, since I did lose my license to drive as a player 15 years ago. But this could be fun. I think it's going to be fun for the fans. Gives the fans in the surrounding areas here a chance to get on a bus and come enjoy baseball, to see who's driving the real bus on the field.
Do the fans have the option of getting off the bus before you get on the bus?
No, I don't think that's going to happen, although
okay.
we don't know that for sure. But it sounds like fun to me.
Well, of course it does.
That's been on my bucket list for a long time, to drive a real bus. Because, you know, 10 years of minor league ball, I had a few bus trips. Ooh, he just stayed with that pitch on Salvi.
7 strikeouts and 4 scoreless innings for Colin McHugh.
Honda most trusted player of the game? How about our cameraman, John Pope? 3 times this year he's tried to follow Guthrie. This time Guthrie, he kind of just jogged along. Now Guthrie knows it's on. He's saying, all right, let's see if this guy can stay with me. All right, I'm going to put a little move on him. But he still didn't give him his A sprint until this last one. Pope, look at it. He's on the lurk. Here he comes. Guthrie, he saw him. He sees him. Now it's on. John Pope, I'm going to give you a standing O right now. Way to give it up. For the people. We got to give our cameraman some love once in a while.
Yeah,
Most trusted.
But you can't wear down our pitcher. I mean,
Guthrie was toying with him. He loved that. I can't wait to talk to him about that. You give our guy a chance next time. I'm going to tell him.
good to see a smile on Yordano Ventura's face. And a big sigh of relief for the Royals organization. Although Ned Yost was very confident in his post-game statements last night that Ventura's elbow was not injured severely, and it was just soreness, so he'll miss one start. The Royals expect him to get back into the rotation. But nowadays, when it seems like you read about a pitcher every day, every other day, somebody going down with Tommy John surgery, and somebody as talented as Ventura coming off the mound with an elbow problem, however they wanted to describe it. As Ned put it, he was about 85% confident that the elbow was okay, 100% once the MRI came back. And by the way, in looking at the MRI, his ulnar collateral ligament, that's the ligament when it tears, requires Tommy John surgery. While they were in there, they took a look at that, and as the report said, it tested 100%. Alex Presley is 2 for 2. He is the number 8 hitter, but twice he has led off an inning tonight, and both times with a single.
Yeah, no, that's great news, and that's really a comfort to a ball player. Nowadays they can go in there with the MRI, or even if they have to do scope, if they do have some type of surgery, they can see everything. And some ball players will say, hey, my knee's not feeling too good this off season. When the season's over, let's just go in and take a peek at it. Even though there may not be any damage, the player needs a clear mind. He has to go, well, I got to know 100% that I'm healthy. And that's the beautiful thing about technology nowadays with modern athletes. Peace of mind is everything. You got to know you're healthy.
Guthrie got Gonzalez to ground into a double play in the third inning, 6-4-3. Shallow left, Escobar out, and it drops. Alex came running in hoping for a force play at second base, but Presley read it well. So you got two guys on base here. Both have 5 hits in the series, and we're only in the middle innings of the second game.
Nothing you can do about this one. It's a tweener. In between them. See Gordon at the last minute put his glove up. That told Escobar, I got it on the bounce.
I thought maybe he was trying to deke Presley.
No, he had to
thinking he was going to catch it.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, on a ball more routine, you'll see an outfielder put his glove up over his head or something like that, try to deke the guy. But this was a communication to Escobar. I got it on the bounce. Because see, Escobar's coming full speed. Sometimes shortstops will dive for that, and so will the outfielder. That's when things get ugly out there. I'm happy that didn't happen.
Those are the ugliest of collisions.
Yep.
One guy going out as hard as he can, one guy coming in as hard as he can, and one or both of them leaving their feet. Look at John Pope is everywhere. How many John Popes are there?
Wasn't there a real Pope? His name was John? Oh, roll it.
And they do. Well, Hud, you can speak to this. You played some third base. That looked like an easy 5-4-3 double play, but that was a difficult angle for Paredes.
And throwing off balance really didn't make it any easier. I mean, he did get a chance to set his feet, but when you're throwing to a moving target, it can be difficult. However, you're trained to throw the ball over the base. He'll get there.
Ooh. Not only throwing to a moving target, but he had to throw backward. I mean, he was coming in and had to turn around and kind of throw at a backward angle to hit that moving target.
That play right there scored points with Ned. Very difficult. So the first pitch up and in is a good pitch. Pitching inside with some intent to back the hitter off, especially a hot batter. Nothing wrong with that. That's baseball. That sets up pitches away, make him uncomfortable, and hope like heck that you can get him out, keep that ball down. He hits it at somebody, because when a guy's this hot, you really got to be careful with him. And he's hit a couple balls well in this game here.
He has homered in 4 straight games and 5 home runs over those 4 games.
Yeah, so be careful.
Guthrie changes his arm angle, and Springer fouls it back to the screen.
Guthrie will do that. I've seen more of that this year from him than the last couple. He'll also throw a slow curve, a real slow one, like around 65 miles an hour.
Big swing by Springer. He's fouled out 4 straight. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I think that slow curve could be coming, but make sure it's down. Guthrie was thinking about it. Salvi, he put down fastball, and Guthrie wasn't sure if he wanted that one or not.
Two and 2.
Good spot. 95. Told you I thought his 4-seamer looked like it had some life on it tonight, and it does.
Three and 2 with Fowler next.
Try one of those fastballs, or maybe even a slow curve, but I would be more to throw a fastball down low, and if he hits it, you hope he hits it at somebody. Uh-oh, that's more fingers than one. That means it's a trick pitch, maybe.
Ooh. Pitchers haven't been getting the high strike tonight. Guthrie has walked 3. That's a big number for him. Let's see what Fox Track says.
Top of the strike zone.
Guthrie walked 2 last inning, and the first of those 2 walks, Dexter Fowler scored the only run. First and third for Fowler, who has also popped out to short. The Astros are playing much better than when the Royals saw them back in April. They were really scuffling. They're in the middle of 11 losses in 14 games. And right after the Royals left Houston, Bo Porter switched a couple of hitters in his lineup, and he took Fowler. And you mentioned last night, Hud, he looked lost when the Royals were in Houston. Down to the number 3 spot where he has thrived. Kane will run the ball down in left center field. So this time Guthrie gets Fowler, and the Astros strand 2. Look at Dino in the guts of the stadium operating the robotic camera. By the way, Dino. Well, how do you vote against a guy who reaches out to the fan base to find somebody to play catch? 50% say that Jeremy Guthrie's Twitter handle is their favorite to follow. And our Sprint Framley question of the day, followed by Eric Hosmer, the real Haas.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the other guys that are on here and all the other ball players do things for people too, but it happened that, you know, Guthrie lives here in Kansas City and it's the winter time, and so it made more news. But thank you, fans, for participating.
Kane, Escobar, and Paredes trying to figure out Colin McHugh.
That last strikeout of Salvi in last inning, he just reared back and threw 4 seamers right by Salvi. This kid looks good.
Kane missed the bunt. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He got the pitch to do it on a changeup. That was the one.
This is McHugh's 7th start for the Astros this year, and the 5th time he's had 7 or more strikeouts, with a high of 12. That was that game against Seattle when he threw 89 pitches and had 12 strikeouts. Here's a good start to the inning. Lorenzo Cain, who had 4 hits last night, is 1 for 2 tonight. First time the Royals have had the leadoff man on.
Right down the middle, hit the top half. That's a beautiful swing. Get something going here. See what Eske has got up his sleeve. Or you know that Ned could pull a little something going on here, maybe a little hit and run and hit. Try to get some action going, especially early in the count. Escobar handles the bat well. Kane can steal.
Eske struck out on McHugh's curveball in the 2nd inning. Trying a bunt, and the Astros thought Kane might be running.
So you know what Lorenzo's saying? I don't run on pitch outs.
Trying to go the other way. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Eske's trying to hit that hole, and George Springer in right field, he can smell it. He's way in and over towards the right field line. We've seen Escobar pull a few doubles down that left field line. If he does that, he might score Kane. His left fielder, Robbie Grossman, he's over there close to the gap in left center. See how they're pulled over. There's George Springer right there. So there's some pretty good alleys, a couple good gaps right there.
It's not a dramatic shift, and we showed you earlier in the game how much the Astros have shifted on defense this year compared to everybody else. They are far and away the leader. It's one thing to shift the defense, but then the pitcher has to do his part and deliver pitches that the hitter hits into the defense. And the more dramatic the shift, the less room for error the pitcher has. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And I remember when we went to Houston in the middle of April, some pitchers on the record and off the record were voicing their displeasure with some of the dramatic shifts because they felt it really limited how they could pitch the hitter.
It's bound to happen.
.72 miles an hour with a curveball. 8 strikeouts for McHugh, 6 on the curveball. It's just fell out of the lights.
That's a hanger.
Well, we're going to get some Southern California here at Kauffman Stadium, June 23rd through the 29th, as the Dodgers and the Angels will be here. Packed with plenty of fan favorite promotions. A T-shirt Tuesday, girls night out, James Shields bobblehead night and K-State Day. 1 week of baseball you don't want to miss. And for tickets, go to Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS.
Escobar took a changeup and a curveball last 2 pitches and didn't swing. So he might have the Royals hitters guessing a little bit now. Finishing their second time through. Jimmy Paredes, the number 9 batter for Ned, playing third tonight.
Paredes was a victim of the curveball back in the third, and he pulls it through the right side. Kane will hold. Springer has an excellent arm, and he charged aggressively. Jimmy Paredes is 1 for 2, and now 2 on for the top of the order.
There's a pitch that he wanted to make some contact with and got it through. Kane did the right thing. Springer throws really well. You don't want to run into any extra outs here. I have to see if Aoki can pick him up.
Nori was the only Royal who had faced McHugh before tonight, and he was 2 for 3 before tonight. On the first pitch that McHugh delivered, Nori lined to left and then grounded out to second in the third. Royals have 15 hits in the first 2 games of the series, 14 singles. Got to get one in the outfield and hit a gap.
Exactly. Keep the ball off the ground.
That's the part about Kauffman Stadium that is misunderstood. It is a good pitcher's ballpark because of the dimensions if you're a fly ball pitcher. But because the dimensions are what they are, the gaps are much bigger. There is a lot more room in the outfield for the ball to fall.
I agree.
Kraus bobbles and back to the bag just in time to get Aoki. Kane goes to third and Paredes moves up to second base. It makes me think of games at Coors Field. Now we don't have the elevation that Denver has. But what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Coors Field?
It's a launching pad.
Right. But when you play games at Coors Field, it's not always the home runs that kills you. It's that huge outfield, the blue pits, the singles that turn into doubles, the doubles that turn into triples. And so, all right, the Royals are not a home run hitting team. They're not going to lead the league in home runs. They probably won't finish in the top half of the league in home runs this year. But you get some guys who can hit line drives to the gaps in the outfield that have some speed.
I agree with you.
It's not just a pitcher's ballpark.
No. It's a good hitting yard. Let's see if Infante can keep up his .313 average with runners in scoring position. Coors Field, they train their outfielders to play shallow because really anything over their head is going to be a homer. They want to pick up all them singles they can.
And that, I think, is what just mentally destroys a pitcher over time at Coors Field. Yeah, they're going to give up some home runs, but it's not that. It's the blue pits.
Yeah.
It's the, okay, that's a single to right field. Oh, wait a minute. It's a double or a triple because of the big gap and the dry grass because of the elevation. There are a lot of doubles and triples here at Kauffman Stadium, too. Presley makes the play in center field. 2 more hits for the Royals, but they strand 2 and haven't been able to break through yet against Colin McHugh. 1-0. Well, on a good night to hit, it is warm, it is humid, the wind was blowing out. It's turned out to be a great night to pitch.
It certainly has. Guthrie's been able to hold him to 1 run and 5 hits. Royals got 5, but McHugh seems to be baffling the Royals hitters with that big curveball. They're going to have to make some adjustments. 3rd time through the order. They shouldn't be so surprised with those hanging curveballs now, talking about the Royals offense.
Difference in the game right now would be the walk column. McHugh none, Guthrie 3, and when Fowler walked with 1 out in the 4th inning, he came around and scored the only run of the game. Castro has also walked and struck out.
Both teams have left 5 men on. I thought Infante had a chance to knock in those 2. Good fastball hitter. He just got up under it.
1-1 on Castro. The ball went one way, the bat the other, but both went into the screen.
Oops.
And Castro did not go back to the on-deck area and put some pine tar on his bat.
No, he just said that was, he probably just let go. It wasn't a stick 'em thing. And I watch him in his practice swings, and he has a really big uppercut swing in his practice swings. You don't see a lot of guys swinging up like that.
If Sal throws a strike, and he does, Guthrie will strike out Castro again. Castro has now struck out 60 times to lead the American League. 1 down in the 6th. Five for Guthrie. I was watching Castro do that, and I thought he reminds me of somebody doing that uppercut swing, and it's a high uppercut swing. I mean, it's like he's swinging at a pitch shoulder high and uppercutting.
Yeah, you just don't see too many guys practice it swing like that.
But it just occurred to me, Joe McEwing, who's now the 3rd base coach of the Chicago White Sox, he spent a year here with the Royals, and he had a very similar routine in between pitches.
Well, I can understand maybe a power hitter, but Joe wasn't a power hitter.
I know, but that's what he did.
Yeah.
Very high in the air. Now let's see how Paredes handles that corner to the railing and almost ended up in the dugout sweep.
That's what you do. Get to the railing and stretch out. Ugh.
Good thing he didn't go in. There was nobody there to help him out.
Nope. Would have been a crash landing.
Here's Guthrie's version of the slow curveball, but his is slower than slow. I mean, it hardly gets to home plate. 59 miles an hour, and you won't even get a speeding ticket in most places going 59 miles an hour.
And he'll throw that every so often. We've seen that this year. There it was. And this was his slowest he's thrown one, I think. Some of the other ones earlier in the season were like around 63, 64, but he took a lot off of that, and see how that got him off balance. He hit it off the end.
And a good changeup to Mark Krause. He's 0 for 2. Dominguez, who just flied out, singled in Dexter Fowler with 1 out in the 4th inning, and that's all the offense tonight after a 9-2 game last night. 1-0 Astros in the 6th. Guthrie's ahead 0-2. Ooh. Well, as you said, he's not afraid to throw up and in, and that was not his intent with the count 0-2. Frightening pitch for a hitter, though.
Sure is. But he turned the right way. He didn't mean to get it up that high.
So Robbie Grossman, who is lined to left and flied to center. A little bit inside for ball 1. This will be the 95th pitch for Guthrie tonight. And it's on the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. And he got that call. 1-2.
Salvi sitting up on that outer half sure helps get the call, because that looked like it might have been off.
Ooh, that looked even better.
Did. I think Kerwin knew that he missed that last one, so he might have given him that one back. So you put it there again, see if he calls it.
And through the left side, didn't hit it very hard. So Grossman getting an extra pitch and turns it into a single. And after 2 outs and nobody on, the Astros have 2 runners.
Okay, on the 4th pitch, we'll show you Guthrie's reaction. Wow. Yep, he wanted it.
And now Alex Presley, he's had a heck of a series. 2 for 2 tonight, 5 for 7 in the series. Both of his singles to center tonight against Guthrie. And now he lines it into right field. 2 hops to Aoki. Krause is not a fast runner, and he is held up. And third base coach Pat Listach did the right thing by throwing up the stop sign. Otherwise, Krause would have been out by a mile.
Ball was well struck, had topspin on it. Second hop was a beauty for Aoki, and he comes in and he says, if you go, you are a goner. And while Guthrie was backing up home, you see Guthrie, he's going to come back and back up home. Him and home plate umpire Kerwin Danley had a few words. And, you know, look at Guthrie's going right to him. He's saying, hey, where was that 4th pitch? It was outside.
So that's why Ned Yost makes the trip to the mound. Nobody's warming up.
Uh-oh, here comes Kerwin. Uh-oh. Second time Ned's been tossed this year. And whenever the home plate umpire goes to the mound and the manager goes out there, you know something could be said that could get you ran, and that's what happened. So what Ned's doing is he's sticking up for Guthrie. Hey, Ned, watch this. You can see this walk here. Body language tells me he's not happy. He's going to go out and talk to Guthrie about that exchange the umpire and him had. Most managers know that if you stay out there long enough, the umpire is going to come out and say, hey, okay, guys, let's get the game rolling. See? And he's not happy. He's venting on Danley. He's not yelling at Guthrie. And how about that? A bases loaded bunt. Okay, so he's waiting for Danley. Basically, this is what managers do. When they're upset, instead of going out and calling him at home plate, he waits till he comes to the mound. And Ned didn't last long because he said some things that Kerwin didn't like.
And now 0-2 on Gonzalez.
Gotta wonder if Marwin Gonzalez, what he was thinking trying to bunt. Bases loaded, your team only got one run up there. I kind of wondered about that, but he gave Guthrie a strike. Now Jeremy has to finish him off.
Well, he had 4 hits last night.
Yeah.
And a double, another hit tonight.
Right. That was unusual to see that. Finish him off.
1-2. With 2 outs, a hit batter, and 2 singles to load him up. And Sal saves a run. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Big pitch coming here, 2-2. If you miss, it's 3-2. The runners will be moving. Opportunity to score more, but Guthrie wants to throw him the one he can't hit. Or pop it up.
And it will be 3-2. So the count similar to the inning, with the Astros down to almost nothing. 2 outs, nobody on. They load the bases, and then Gonzalez down 0-2. Gets it to 3-2. So Krause at third, Grossman at second, and Presley at first will be running. And it's hit on the ground to Infante. So after all that, the Astros are scoreless. They strand 3, and Jeremy keeps his head down as he heads back to the first base dugout.
That's proper.
Now acting manager after Ned Yost was ejected last half inning. Middle of the order coming up, Eric Hosmer, Billy Butler, and Alex Gordon in our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Shelly Dabbs from Oak Grove. And if the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Shelly wins $1,900. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Shelly wins $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. Hosmer didn't quite get a pitch back in the third inning. Put a good swing on it. It had good trajectory to it, but I don't think he got it up the fat part of the bat and drove Springer to the warning track in right field. He is 0 for 2.
Third time through. Let's see if the Royals can make an adjustment on curves.
There it was. Presley comes up from center field to make the play. One down in the sixth.
In the first couple innings, McHugh, he struck out 4 batters, and those curveballs were well thrown. They started out about the belt and they ended up in the dirt. That's where you want to curve, and you know, you can't argue for no contact. But in innings 3 and 4 and 5, he was throwing some hangers, and some of the Royals were taking them. They were a little bit baffled. So let's see if they can make some adjustments and recognizing that pitch that's been a good one for him.
And slow like that, 71 miles an hour, and it's not, I would think, a simple adjustment. I mean, how often do you see a 71-mile-an-hour curveball, right?
No,
I mean, that's not a typical curveball speed.
But he's been throwing a lot of them to a lot of batters. So they talk in that dugout. They talk, the hitters. They say, all right, you know, he's starting to hang that curve. Start looking for it up around your neck. But we'll see what happens here. In order to beat this guy, they're going to have to get a couple of big hits.
And he also has a good cut fastball tonight. And 2 pitches ago, after the slow curve, a pretty hittable fastball down the middle. But if the hitter's thinking stay back, Billy shot it foul into the upper deck on the first base side. You're going to be late on the fastball.
You'll be late on it.
So you're saying go up to the plate, don't worry about the fastball, don't worry about the cutter, just sit on a hanging curveball?
He's throwing a couple to each batter. Sometimes a hitter can do that, especially a power hitter.
Here comes one right here. That one stayed up, and Billy pulls it just foul.
It's hard sometimes to keep them fair because they're pitched so slowly. But that was the perfect swing on a ball that's a hanger. Hosmer got one, he flied out, and Billy's gotten 2.
Still 2-2.
Billy's having a nice at bat here. He's competing very well.
Are those stirrups?
Look like it to me.
Not like the stitched in the sock stirrups?
No, those aren't 2-in-1s.
Pulled to Dominguez, and Billy is the second out of the 6th inning. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit Royals.com for details. Colin McHugh, not quite to 90 pitches, has allowed 5 singles, no walks. And he has struck out 8. And ball 1 to Alex. Alex has one of the 5 hits. He has hit in 5 straight games after a 2nd inning single. He is also grounded out to first. Astros stack the right side of the infield against Alex. One and one. Jeremy Guthrie is up over 100 pitches, so Aaron Crow either is ready or is just getting ready in the Royals bullpen. Is standing on the mound watching the game with 2 outs, so he's probably ready to go if called on.
Yeah, he's ready with 2 outs. He's what they call hot. That's a term if he's ready. If he's not, he's lukewarm or he just started. But if he's ready to come in, he's hot.
Popped up, got an in on his hands. Altuve calls everybody off. That's 6 scoreless innings for Colin McHugh. To the 7th, 1-0 Astros.
Tickets for Less has crowns, Diamond Club, and the best dugout box seats to all Royals games. Guys, ticketsforless.com is your trusted source for all Royals tickets. This year, Tickets for Less is celebrating 10 years of local ownership. Check out ticketsforless.com, and you too can sit in the best seats at Kauffman Stadium. I want to take you to Citi Field for our Mazda game break. This is Curtis James Jackson III, also known as rapper 50 Cent. He's done a lot of music, and he needs to stick to his night job. He sings a lot of songs, guys, with words that probably would get you kicked out of a baseball game. He's made a lot of money rapping. He cannot throw. Thoughts?
Oh, man, I'm happy that cameraman that was standing there trying to capture the moment for him to put on his next CD didn't take one. He could have wore one. That ball just missed him. That would have been ugly.
Why do you even go out there if you throw like that?
Where's the warm-up tosses?
Aaron Crow gets the top of the order in the 7th inning. Altuve, Springer, and Fowler. Altuve on the first pitch, and Kane is back into right center field. Altuve is 1 for 4. Aaron Crow got the win in the game on Saturday, that 13-inning game. He pitched 2 scoreless innings. Aaron opened the year with 19 consecutive scoreless appearances, or at least 19 appearances with no earned runs. That is a new franchise record. And if you go back to last year, that stretch was 21 straight games without an earned run. George Springer has flied to deep center, flied to deep right, and walked. Didn't mean to do it, and he might end up with a hit. And that extends his hitting streak to 9 games. You know you're going good when you don't even mean to swing and you get a base hit.
Yeah, he is going good. And I think Crow, when he stepped off of the back of that mound, he just said, there's no way we're going to get him here. Because when you make a swing like that, you're typically on your front foot. You're coming out of the box already, so you have a head start rather than taking a full swing.
Dexter Fowler walked with 1 out in the 4th inning against Guthrie and scored on Dominguez single, and that's all the offense tonight. Guthrie will hope for a no decision. He deserves at least that, giving up just 1 run in 6 innings. 0-1. We talked about this in the 1st inning. Guthrie has not won personally since April the 9th. In his last 2 starts, he's given up 2 runs in 13 innings. And we were talking about how last time out on Wednesday, his job was to try and slow down the White Sox, who had scored 14 runs in the first 2 games of the series, and he did. He gave up just 1 run in 7, and hoping to do the same to the Astros tonight, and he did. 1 run in 6 innings.
But you know, he's only gotten 2 runs of support over his last 3 starts.
Three and 1 on Fowler. We were talking about it a couple of innings ago. When the Royals were in Houston, Fowler was leading off, and he didn't look right at the plate at all. And Jose Altuve was batting 4th. And right after the Royals left, Bo Porter batted Fowler 3rd and put Altuve back in the leadoff spot. They both took off from that point on, and that really seemed to ignite the Astros offense.
Yeah, managers will do that sometimes to a guy who's a good contact hitter, struggling a little bit. Look at those hands.
Out at second, and look at Escobar with a reverse 360 before gunning down Fowler for the Royals' 3rd double play tonight.
2 of the greatest feet in the game right there. Hosmer, Escobar. Wonder who would win in Dancing with the Stars.
the league, and the Blue Jays now have won 8 in a row. Royals headed there next. White Sox in a delay. They started in a delay, began, and delayed again. We'll see what that does to Chris Sale, who's got 3 no-hit innings. Texas leading Minnesota, and Detroit early on out in Oakland winning that game. Let's go back to Toronto, and Edwin Encarnacion is on fire. This is a daily occurrence. That is number 16 on the year. Now, let's keep this in mind. His first home run of the year was April 22nd. He has hit 14 home runs in the month of May, tying a month home run record of the Blue Jays with his teammate Jose Bautista back in June of 2012. Brian and Hud, the Royals will be heading into a hornet's nest when they go up to Toronto tomorrow night.
Hey, it's time to shake them out of their tree. You can only win for so long in this game, just like the Tigers did. Tigers had a great winning streak, and then
lost 7 of 8.
Yeah. So the timing's going to be right.
Sal jumps on the first pitch, grounds out against Colin McHugh. Sal 1 for 3, and now McHugh has pitched 6 1/3 scoreless innings, no walks, and 8 strikeouts. This is his first ever appearance against the Royals.
Gotta get in that bullpen, man. Get this guy out.
Royals with a couple of options in the bullpen. They tie or take the lead. Perhaps Davis, if nothing changes. Collins, we'll see. Kane singled in the 5th inning. He's 1 for 2. He has 5 hits in the series. Two and 0. Tony Sipp getting ready in the Astros bullpen. He appeared last night and has been unhittable since joining the Astros. 2-1 on Kane. Two and 2. Curveball's been baffling the Royals all night. 9 strikeouts. And again, by my count, 7 of the 9 on the curve.
Doesn't have as much depth, but it's still breaking, and it's a good one. It's straight down. They haven't been able to figure it out. Kane was ahead in the count 2-0, and he took the best pitch, a nice 4-seam fastball right down the middle. You got to be looking to hit there. I don't think he's going to throw that curve 2-0. So if you get ahead of him, be ready to hit. The hanging curve can be hit, but it hasn't been tonight. But hitters like that straight fastball better.
Now I got a question for you. The more I see that pitch tonight, is it truly a hanging curveball, or is it just a curveball that's up? Because most hanging curveballs, they stay up and they just kind of spin. His curveball stays up, and man, it almost seems to like pick up velocity when it goes down. And
hanging curveballs, catcher catches it right at the belt. That's up.
But I mean, normally when you say hanging curveball, you are implying that it was a mistake pitch. And while those pitches are staying up,
that's a good curve.
They seem to be reading it well. They're just not making contact with it.
That one he struck Kane out on was a nice curveball. Perfect location. Now there's one that's up.
Gonzalez from the grass shows off his arm. So McHugh is pitching a gem, and he gets some help from his defense. He's retired the last 8. Brought to you by Miller Lite.
Jeremy Guthrie, like always, he knows how to pitch. He's tough, but he also uses that defense, and they responded for him tonight, turning 2 nice double plays. Fonte turned them both. Unfortunately, he couldn't get any run support while he was in there, and still there's no runs.
So good pitching for the Royals tonight, and this is how we opened the broadcast after 50 games and/or Memorial Day, and for the Royals it was both. That's an important milepost, if you will, to show you where a team is headed. And remember all the concern about the starting rotation with the departure of Urban Santana, and legitimate because Santana had an excellent year last year, and that has not come to fruition. The Royals rotation ERA is better at this point compared to last year.
So we're seeing a lot of similar traits this year that we did last. The offense took them a couple of months to try to find their stride, and they will find it, but it's been the same pattern. Great pitching and not so timely hitting. They're just 2 under 500. Pitching's been keeping them there.
Collins in the 8th. 1-1 against Castro, who struck out twice against Guthrie, and Castro has struck out the most of any hitter in the American League, 60 times. Good fastball over the inside, 1-2. Collins' last appearance was a loss on Sunday at the Angels. And the Angels scored late, 4 runs in their last 2 at bats to beat the Royals 4-3 and take the series. 2-2.
Savi wants it he wants it down. Ooh.
Hit hard into right center field, and no play for Norrie. It's over his head and up against the wall. That's the first extra base hit of the night, either team.
Inner half wasn't down enough. Good stroke by Castro. Seventh double.
And now Dominguez, he drove in the only run in the 4th inning, and hits it on the ground to Infante, so he doesn't drive in the run this time, but he gets Castro over to 3rd with 1 out.
And it looked to me like that's what he was trying to do. That's a productive out. Just shorten up his swing, looked for the first pitch he could see that was out, over, or away, and just went with it to move him over.
And now with Collins on the mound, Mark Krause, left-hand batter, is called back, and Bo Porter sends out right-hand hitting Jesus Guzman.
He's 1 for 8 off the bench for Porter this year with 1 RBI.
Royals will bring the infield in. Oh, 0-1. Good curveball.
Good pitch, first pitch, because pinch hitters are looking for that pitch to hit. So he threw him the hardest one. He also will mix in a straight changeup and get a ground ball maybe to Esky. Doubled up with it. pretty impressive numbers there. 6 homers as a pinch hitter. That'll keep you in the game.
Two and one. Changeup that almost moved like a cutter.
It did. Usually his change is straight.
And the Royals have both the infield in and shifted slightly over to the left, so that was the right pitch to get Guzman to swing at. And then Collins goes back away, and it's 3-1. And Guzman walks.
It's a good job up there. He was waiting for his pitch down the middle. Never got it. Now he's got him set up. Maybe he can induce a ground ball double play.
Robbie Grossman, a switch hitter, moves over to the right side, and he singled in the 6th inning, his first base hit since being called back up from AAA, and his first base hit in 12 at bats. First and third, one out. Astros scored back in the 4th inning. And the squeeze is on, and the bunt is foul.
Great idea. If you're the guy that's dropping the bunt down, there's nowhere to run. You want to stay in the box and see it down. This late in the game, it's a pretty good call. Got him a pitch he could handle it.
And they're going to try it again. And did that hit Grossman?
No, apparently not.
It is a steal of home and a wild pitch. Castro was running, so he will get a stolen base. Guzman was not. He'll go to second base on a wild pitch, and somehow Robbie Grossman was able to get out of the way of that pitch.
It got around his feet. It hit a toe hold in the dirt, and it kicked up. That's why it looked like it hit him. But it didn't. It did a great job of getting out of the way of that, especially when you're squaring around for a suicide. That's a really good reaction time. Astros, they're living right.
And now 1-2 on Grossman.
Some pitchers are trained when they see a squeeze situation to hit the batter. That's a dead ball. I think Collins thought they were going to do it on back-to-back pitches.
And now base hit into left field. Guzman had to freeze to make sure that it got through. So Grossman, who had been in a deep slump and hitless in his first 2 at-bats, is now 2 for his last 2. And now Collins will get a left-hand batter in Alex Presley.
Got to do some pitching to get out of this one here. Try to keep that ball down. Use that infield. There's been 2 double plays turned already by the Royals tonight. Get another one right here and get out of it.
Do it again?
No.
That's what I was talking about. That was not a suicide squeeze. That was a safety squeeze.
Yeah. So Bo Porter, he's managing a little bit out of the norm. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you got to be creative. And obviously he's doing it with consecutive batters here. And it's unexpected. You just don't see a lot of that. Saw it twice with 1 hitter. And now this one here, you said, Ryan, it was a sacrifice, but I wasn't expecting that, and I don't think the Royals were either. And safety squeeze.
And the Royals thought they might try it again, so they pitch out. 1 ball, 1 strike. Presley has 6 hits. He is 6 for 8 in the first 2 games. 3 singles tonight. All of those hits against Guthrie. And again, more of a safety squeeze. This time Guzman reacted as though he saw it coming, because he took a few steps down the line, and Sal thought about throwing down there and throwing behind him.
And with 3 third basemen filling in at third base, they don't exactly have that good pickoff play that Moustakas and Salvi have. So they might have to put that in, because they might have gotten him if Paredes had to move to the base.
And again showing bunt. Collins just having a tough time getting one in the strike zone. 3-1 on Presley.
And it's interesting that they're making him square around like that. He's hitting .467 off of lefties. Coming into the night, 7 for 15. So sometimes you're going to let a guy just swing away. Take your chances with 1 out, and he can get another run home.
Well, he squared around every time. 3-2. Presley has 3 home runs, and the Royals are not convinced on defense that he's going to hit for power here. They are set up in the outfield, and this is beyond a pitcher's defense. This is father-son game defense.
Yeah, they're 30 to 40 feet in from their normal spots.
Still 3-2. Presley out of the Pirates organization and once their minor league player of the year. Went to the Twins last year in the deal that sent Justin Morneau to Pittsburgh, and had a good finish to the season for Minnesota. And then the Twins surprised the industry by putting him on waivers. The Astros, with 111 losses last year, they had the first shot at him and they gobbled him up. Left field, and Alex runs back and to the line. Guzman tags, and Alex wasn't able to get much on his throw because he was going back. So Presley gets it to the outfield, a sac fly, and Houston leads 3-0 in the 8th inning.
No chance for Alex on that. So Bo Porter, he managing a little bit beyond the norm. He's creating some opportunities to score some runs late here against the Royals.
Very interesting offensive numbers for the Astros. Last in the league in hitting, last in the league in runs scored, but fourth in the league in home runs. They have Grossman picked off, and Hosmer throws it into left field, but Alex Gordon was right there.
Obviously, all this time taken in between innings here has caused some of the players to maybe lose their focus a little, but that's an out that they've got to have. Infante's going to break to the bag. Hosmer, throw hard from that angle to tell exactly where that ball was. But remember, Infante, he's coming back from a bad back. And as he was moving towards the base, Hosmer's throw was a little bit towards the center field side.
They're going to call it a stolen base as Grossman was running on the play. At the knees and a strike to Gonzalez. The scoring has changed on the first run on the attempted suicide squeeze that got past Robbie Grossman and went to the screen. Castro was coming down from third. They're just going to call that a wild pitch that allowed both runners to advance. Castro to score and Guzman to second. Collins goes up to get it and over to Hosmer to end the inning. The Astros get two, and you can see how Collins feels about that. To the bottom of the eighth, it's now 3-0 Houston. Five-hour energy. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. Jesus Guzman, he batted for Kraus, and he'll stay in at first base. And because of that long inning with the Astros scoring 2 runs, Collin McHugh will not come out for the bottom of the 8th. Now, a few batters into that top of the 8th inning, nobody was warming up, and McHugh was at 102 pitches and cruising. But the longer the inning went, the more that Tony Sipp warmed up, and now with a 3-run lead, he'll take over in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, Bo Porter got his offense to get McHugh a couple of runs there, and so now he's bringing Sipp in. And you're right, after that long inning, sometimes this late in the game, pitcher stiffens up. Don't need to take a chance. McHugh looked really good. Now Sipp to see if they can figure him out here. Got a couple more shots against him. He's got a fastball that he'll sink 88 to 93. He's got some pretty good late life to it. Slider and the changeup. He'll throw that changeup to both righties and lefties. See if they can get something happening here.
Jimmy Paredes, Nori Aoki, Omar Infante in the bottom of the 8th. Paredes singled to right in the 5th inning and struck out in the 3rd. Royals produced just 5 singles, sorry HUD, in 7 innings against Collin McHugh.
Yeah, not much shifting going on here. Altuve, second baseman, playing him to a slight pull up the middle.
One and one. Tony Sipp, the Royals saw a lot of him in his years with the Indians. He started the year with the Padres. He asked for his release on May 1st. The next day he signed with the Astros, and that was a great signing for Houston. Guzman comes over from first and makes the play on Paredes.
Sipp actually thought he wanted to catch that ball.
Every pitcher wants to catch that ball.
Not going to happen.
Here's our AT&T fan photo of the game.
That's in Camden.
Yeah. Baby girl 6790.
Thank you.
Which is an interesting name.
Yeah, great shot there. Got the warehouse in the background.
With that out, Tony Sipp, since joining the Astros, has faced 28 batters and retired 26 of the 28. Aoki takes a fastball for a strike. Former 45th round draft pick Tony Sipp out of Clemson. He pitched the 7th inning last night and got Aoki, Infante, and Hosmer. Oh, and 2.
It's nine straight now. Did McEwen, and now Sipp just got Paredes.
Tony Sipp was a shot in the arm that the Astros needed. They had an awful month of April from their bullpen. Bullpen was flawless last night, pitching 3 scoreless innings. And when you lose 111 games, as the Astros did last year, you're going to have a lot of problems everywhere, but in particular with their bullpen, where they had almost as many blown saves last year as they did actual saves. And that bullpen has started to come together in the month of May. Aoki strikes out. That's 10 strikeouts for Astros pitchers tonight. 2 down in the 8th. Tomorrow is a day game And then on to Toronto. Check out John Gibbons and the red-hot Toronto Blue Jays. A 4-game series, which begins on Thursday, and then the beginning of the home-and-home with the Cardinals Monday and Tuesday there, Wednesday and Thursday here. No TV tomorrow. It's a 1:10 game. Danny Duffy will pitch for the Royals. And of course, you can always catch the game on the Royals radio network. Denny Matthews, Steve Physiak, Steve Stewart tomorrow. 0-1 on Omar Infante. He's 1 for 3.
You gonna get the day off tomorrow?
Yeah.
Not a way. Businessman special.
Off speed and in for a strike. 0-2 on Infante. He had a 3rd inning single, 1 for 3. One and two. Had him reaching. Gonzalez out, Grossman in, and now Astros pitchers have retired 11 in a row. To the 9th, Houston leads 3-0. And he'll get the top of the order. Kelvin had a rough outing in that game on Sunday against the Angels, trying to pick up for Vargas in the 7th inning after Vargas gave up 1 run and 6 1/3, and Herrera was charged with a couple of runs that tied the game, and then the Angels took the lead in the 8th. Jose Altuve, George Springer, and Dexter Fowler coming up in the 9th. The Astros trying to win 4 in a row for the first time this year. And with a win tonight, they would have at least a .500 record on one of their longest road trips of the year. 10 games against the Angels, the Mariners, and the Royals. They are 4-4 on that trip coming into tonight. Altuve singled back in the 1st inning. He's 1 for 4. He leads the league with 72 hits. He has hit safely in 18 of his last 19 games.
Tough out. I'm telling you. He knows what kind of hitter he is, and he's aggressive. You got to obviously aim low in the strike zone because he's 5'6", but he hacks and he hits it wherever it's pitched. And early in the season, when the Royals went to Houston, I asked Bo Porter, Bo, when he had him hitting cleanup, I said, Altuve, he's your cleanup hitter? And he looked at me and didn't even hesitate. He said, he's my best hitter. That's who I want there. Not too many 5'6" cleanup hitters in Major League Baseball.
Escobar throws him out, one down in the ninth. Chad Qualls, who at the moment is the Astros closer, getting ready for the bottom of the ninth. He has 3 saves. And the Royals will have Hosmer, Butler, and Gordon. Ball 1 on Springer, who has an infield single and a walk. 1 for 3. And another ground ball to Escobar. 2 down in the ninth.
Pump that 99-mile-an-hour fastball in there. Jammed them both.
Dexter Fowler walked and scored back in the 4th inning. He is 0 for 3. Royals have turned 3 double plays tonight. One of those against Fowler in the 7th. .98 miles an hour and a little high. Ball 1.
Fowler has found his plate discipline. Another walk tonight.
And that's his first hit. 11 hits for the Astros. 16 hits in the game tonight between both teams and only 1 extra base hit. And with the Astros being impressive on offense so far in this series, and when you think about them, if you can keep them in the ballpark, your chances are very good at beating them because most of their offense is centered around the home run. But here they've scored 12 runs in the first 2 games, and they've only gotten 1 run from a home run.
They're finding different ways to do it.
It was a 1-0 game until the Astros came up in the 8th inning, and Jason Castro led off that inning with a double against Tim Collins. Ended up scoring on a wild pitch on what was supposed to be a suicide squeeze, but a pitch that went under Robbie Grossman's feet and allowed Castro to score. And then later in the inning, a sac fly got Jesus Guzman to the plate. And just to add to the point of the Astros relying on the home run, they are just 2-19 this year when they don't hit a home run. That's a shot into center field. And Fowler will go first to third.
Last night's starting pitcher Scott Feldman was walking in the plaza today. I was walking down there by myself on the side of the street. He looked at me and I said, "Hey Scott." He goes, "Hey Rex, how are you?" Started doing some small talk with him. And I said, "Yeah, your team got you an early lead last night. You looked pretty comfortable out there." And he told me I was nervous about the Royals offense. That's a good hitting team. They're aggressive. They find lanes. They hit. They run. I was not comfortable. I thought they were going to get back in this game, that game last night. So there's an opposing pitcher, a veteran, having respect for the Royals offense. And of course that was off, on the street somewhere. Whenever I talk to a player, whether he's a Royal or any other players, a lot of that's confidential. But I went into the locker room today and I said, hey, Scott, do you mind if I share that story to our fans out there? Because there's a lot of fans that thinking that the Royals offense is, not what it should be. And I said, what did you think? And he said, no problem, HUD. Tell them this is a big league offense here. They're just in a point now where they're not hitting up to their capabilities. But I had a lot of respect for them. And I'm sure that every guy who pitches against them realizes that at any minute they could explode. I thought that was impressive.
One and two on Dominguez. Royals got 8 hits off of Scott Feldman in 6 innings. Had 1 stolen base against him. Just couldn't get the big hit, couldn't get the big extra base hit against Feldman, as the Royals had 10 hits, but all singles last night. As Hosmer goes to the bag, Herrera works around a pair of 2-out singles. So the Royals down by 3 to the bottom of the 9th. Will be facing a Kansas City police officer. Hosmer, Butler, and Gordon coming up. Chrysler drive of the game. Not as a drive as in a hit, but as in cruising tonight against the Royals.
As advertised before the game, we said he'll mix his pitches. He'll throw curveballs, sliders. He's got a 4-seam fastball he'll use. He'll also cut his fastball. And he was right as advertised. Hit his spots. Kept the Royals off balance and baffled.
Well, we saw the bullpen gate open up and expected Chad Qualls to come out, but the Royals have Hosmer, Butler, and Gordon. So 2 of those 3 left-hand batters. Tony Sipp had a pretty quick 8th inning. So Qualls is ready to go, and maybe Bo Porter, so long as Sipp is getting outs, will stay with the known commodity rather than point to the bullpen. The Astros are just using Qualls as the closer. He's not their true closer.
I think they want to leave Sipp in for Hosmer, though, and then take their chance to see what happens.
Sipp got the Royals 1, 2, 3. in the bottom of the 8th. Has now retired 28 of 30 hitters this year. Now he got Hosmer last night, but just barely. Eric hit a blur to the warning track in right field, and George Springer outran the ball and made the defensive play of the game, making the catch and bumping into the chain link. And hard hit, but right at Altuve. Hosmer is 0 for 4. And you're right, Hud. I thought he might leave Sip in there to face Butler so that he could also face Gordon, but Bo Porter is going to leave him in for 4 batters tonight, and it will be Chad Qualls to face Billy Butler with 1 out, nobody on, and the Royals down 3-0 in the 9th. And Monty out at Rivals, and we hope they'll be talking about a rally here in the bottom of the 9th. The Royals trying to get the offense going. 10 hits last night in a loss, and all 10 hits singles. Tonight just 5 hits, all singles. They've had a bad time against Colin McHugh and Tony Sipp. Let's see what they do against Chad Qualls, who has 3 saves, and the league is hitting over 300 against him.
He's a big lad, 6'5", 220. Sinking fastball, slider change in his split finger. He's well traveled.
See the movement on that pitch, diving in on a right-hand batter. 0-1. Billy has faced Qualls twice, and he's 0 for 2. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Last 11 games, Qualls hasn't given up an earned run. That's 9 2/3 innings. So Bo Porter pretty confident he can shut this one down.
Back to Qualls. Two down. This is a very rare situation here where if Qualls closes out this inning, the Astros will get a save, but Chad Qualls will not get a save because the bullpen taking over in the 7th inning or later with a 3-run lead or less, so 3 runs here. But when a pitcher enters the game in the middle of the inning, the tying run has to be on deck. So that does not apply. Now if the Royals get a couple of runners on and the tying run comes to the plate, that doesn't count. A pitcher cannot create a save situation for himself.
Now I'm sure Qualls is not thinking about that, and neither was Bo Porter. He just wants the game over.
And now the Royals are down to their last strike. One and two. Alex 0 for 1 against Chad Qualls. Just missed. Talk about odd games, and we mentioned the team getting a save, but Qualls not getting a save. Qualls had an even stranger game against the Royals back in 2011. He had a 2-pitch win against the Royals, pitching for the Rays. Alex swings and misses, strikes out. The game is over. The Astros have taken the series with the final game tomorrow. A 3-0 shutout for Houston. It's the 3rd time they've shut out the Royals going back to their interleague days. And for the first time this year, the Houston Astros have won 4 games in a row, as the Royals have now lost 6 of their last 8 games. 3-0 Houston. We'll be right back.